You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. A ton of things to get to on today's show. Recording this just minutes after Auburn basketball got their season going in a pretty dominating fashion as they beat Morehead State 77-54. I'm going to talk about that in a personal announcement that I've got in the first segment here. Second segment, our friends with a War Rapport. We're going to have a shorter version of a War Rapport Wednesday. And then our final segment, it'll be a Wooten Wednesday as Chandler Wooten joins us for his weekly visit here on Locked On Auburn. And so normally we split those things up, but my life's pretty crazy right now for the next 2 weeks. And let me explain why for a second before we jump into this huge Auburn basketball win. But I announced this on my Facebook and Twitter, if you follow me there. And also we talked about it in the Locked On Auburn Discord, but I am stepping away from my job at the Auburn Network, my job at the radio station, because I love what this Locked On Podcast Network has grown into, and they've given me an opportunity to kind of increase my role, grow my role here. I will still be hosting Locked On Auburn, but I'll also be kind of involved in the college channel as a whole. We've got over 30 shows and a lot of really talented hosts, and so I get to work with them and kind of help them with everything that they need. But I'm all in on Locked On, and I'm able to do this for my family because of you guys. And it's crazy, and it means a ton. This thing kind of started out as something small, that it seems like 4 or 5 years later, it's an overnight success. And that's because of you guys. And so really, really appreciate it. It means a ton. And yeah, we could talk about more of this another time, but thank you. Seriously. Thank you so much. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on the podcast, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So the Auburn Tigers 77-54 over Morehead State. And it's really just the way that they did it. I mean, it was absolutely dominated. And Morehead State's a good basketball team. This is a team that was a tournament team a year ago. And a 23-point win over a tournament team from last season. I don't care what the name of the school is. That is something you can be excited about, especially the first game of the season when, this is kind of when you see a lot of upsets happen, and Auburn was not having that. And also Morehead State's style is kind of something that Auburn has struggled with in the Bruce Pearl era, a team that likes to be efficient with scoring, but slow things down. I mean, we've seen that time and time again. Auburn wants to go fast under Bruce Pearl, and they were able to do that. They really kind of dominated the tempo, and Morehead State had to play at Auburn's tempo, and obviously they couldn't do that. But, man, it's weird because it's the debut of these guys, and I'm using air quotes if you're watching on YouTube, but because we all watched them play Friday night, or, some people did if you're in the arena. But yeah, this was their first game. I forget that Friday didn't count. But man, they looked so much better Tuesday night than they did this past Friday. I mean, this past Friday, they struggled at times. And we talked about that with Zep Jasper on the Monday show. But this was pretty clean first half. Second half, you could tell they were getting a little tired, and I think they lost a little bit of focus. But man, strong first half. But this first game of the season, the first game of this Auburn career, for a guy like Wendell Green Jr., who's the starting point guard for the Tigers, 19 points, 8 of 17 shooting, 3 of 8 from behind the arc. He had 5 rebounds. He was also pretty aggressive on defense across his 28 minutes. So Wendell Green Jr., I tweeted this out, and a bunch of Auburn fans, this wasn't a hot take because it was so obvious, but he made a couple of deep threes in this one. But that first one he made, everyone instantly just was like, oh, is that Jared Harper? Do we have Jared Harper back? And man, if he plays like he did tonight, going forward, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be really, really fun. And Lance Daw, friend of the program, he wrote about this on Auburn Wire, that Wendell Green Jr. last year played Morehead State twice, and I think he averaged 18 points a game against them. I think that was what the stat was. And he scored 19. So he's really good against Morehead State. He's also just really, really good. Jabari Smith, kind of a scary moment there. It looked like it was just he he took somebody's knee into like his lower thigh is kind of what it looked like. And he was able to walk it out. I think he actually got back in there. So, nothing crazy there. But then also like Katie Johnson later in the game, he went down for a little bit. It looks like he's going to be okay. I think we'll get an update there later. But about 10 minutes left when this like wasn't a contest. It's like, okay, let's wrap this up and get all these guys out. You don't want to lose somebody the first game of the season in a meaningless game. But all in all, across the board, 11 different guys scored points, which you absolutely love to see that. But a lot of guys in double digits, pretty spread out. I mean, from Green to the next guy, it was Katie Johnson who came off the bench at 12. And then Jalen Williams had 10. Devin Cambridge had 11, and an efficient 11. 4 of 7 from the 4 of 7 from the floor. 1 of 3 from 3. He made both of his free throws. So you love seeing that. Walker Kessler led the team in rebounds with just 6, but you kind of got to imagine he's going to do that. It felt like he scored more than 6 points just because he was always kind of around the basketball, but this team is going to be so much fun. So much fun to watch. And we're going to have it there every step of the way here on Locked On Auburn. They play ULM this Friday, but one thing to look at, and I can't wait to see how they handle this throughout the season, especially early on before Alan Flanagan comes back from injury. But the 3 guards, obviously we're biased and we love Zep Jasper here on Locked On Auburn because he joins us every Monday night. But Zep had 1 point, and then the other 2 guards, Wendell Green had 19 and Katie Johnson had 12. But I think you're going to see a lot of nights where it's going to be a combination of the 2 that are in that dominate, and that third one takes us, a back seat. Zep was the best of the 3 in the exhibition game Friday night. Zep also had 3 fouls fairly early, I think early second half, so they pulled him. What did he end with? Did he end with? Okay, he stayed with those 3 fouls. He didn't get any more, but his minutes kind of trailed off in the second half there, and so that's going to, kind of point out why he only had 1 point. He had 18 minutes. Green had 28 and Katie Johnson had 25. So, I mean, a big difference there as far as time goes. But I think you're going to see Pearl kind of go with the hot hand in that situation, or go with who has less fouls just in case you need them late in the game. But that rotation is going to be really, really important to watch and really, really fun to watch because any combination of the 2 is fun. I think each of them kind of offer and bring different things to the table. Zep talked about his defense. All 3 of them played really, really good defense, but I think Zep's probably the best defender, maybe KD. I mean, the fact that it's even a conversation is exciting. So that's just something that I wanted to kind of watch moving forward. Hey, today's show, or in just a second, guys, we're going to be joined by our friends at the War Rapport. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the leader in daily college fantasy sports. It is so fun. Charlie 5 got in on it. He was kind of screenshotting some of his wins that he had with Prize Picks, but we love Prize Picks here at Locked On Auburn, and highly recommend that you try it. Now with college basketball back, they've got all kinds of props you can bet on. Or if you want to see, okay, no, he's going to score more than 12 points. I'm all in on that. Be sure to check out that with Prize Picks. And also, I believe I think you can get in the action now for Saturday's games with Auburn and Mississippi State. We'll check on that later in the week. But go to prizepicks.com. Use promo code LOCKEDON. You'll get an instant 100% match to any deposit up to $100. Just use promo code LOCKEDON. Don't hesitate. Prizepicks.com. Check it out today. Also, today's show brought to you by Built Bar. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever in the entire universe. They're all delicious. I'm not a huge fan of the coconut flavors, but the peanut butter brownie is great. The chocolate mint is fantastic. Which one do we have here? This one is the salted caramel. It is very, very good. It's one of my favorites. So go to built.com, check out all of their different flavors, and they have the labels. They have the nutrition information on their website. Check that out, and you'll be blown away by how clean the macros are. Very low in calories, very high in protein. It's exactly what you want, whether you're trying to lose weight, maintain weight. Staying full is also a big part of it. So go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off. That is at built.com. All right, joining us now here on Locked On Auburn, a War Rapport Wednesday. Not as much as a War Rapport, guys, as normal. My apologies, guys. But Mike G, C-Dub, how are y'all doing today?
Amazing.
Great.
Sweet. All right, so this past Saturday did not go as planned. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready not to talk about it anymore. As far as this upcoming Saturday against Mississippi State, a good football team. They were ranked. They're not ranked anymore after that loss. But, as far as what you're expecting kind of the flow of this game to be with the air raid versus a much improved defense over the course of the season, C-Dub, what are you expecting to see from these Tigers on Saturday?
Touchdowns, hopefully.
Yeah.
Let's start with that. We haven't scored a touchdown.
Better. Yes.
Yeah, we haven't scored one in about 6 quarters, so we're long overdue for an offensive explosion. And I'm looking forward to seeing the offense get back on track this week. I would like to see Tank and Hunter. I actually like to see Hunter get going, man. He's been stopped cold lately. I would like to see the running game open up. Mississippi State is pretty good against the run, but I would like to see us get back to executing the way we were when we were going up against the likes of an Ole Miss or an Arkansas. I like to see us being crisp on offense and working the game plan. I like what the coaches have been doing in terms of game plan over the past few games. We just got to execute better. And so I'm looking for us to get back on the right track offensively.
So you're happy with the coaching up to this point. You weren't too concerned about the game plan from Saturday?
Yeah, listen, we do a thing at War Rapport called Watch the Film.
Sure.
And needless to say, yes. Do we need more athletes? Absolutely. Everyone does, right? That puts us on even par with everyone.
Yeah.
There were a lot of missed opportunities. And one of the things that I am happy about our coaching staff is while they haven't been perfect, no coaching staff is, they have put us in positions to where we've been able to at least go out and compete. Not saying we should win every game this year, but we should be competent in competing. There were just some missed opportunities in the game last week. And I'm pretty sure through film review this week, the coaching staff has been coaching these kids and pointing those things out. Just go out and be better. You got Mississippi State coming up this week. The things you didn't get a chance to do against A&M, do it this week.
Right.
Get back on track. And get on with the rest of our season. We still got a great season ahead of us, man. Like, listen, we're still ahead of schedule in year one. Some people picked us to finish 5th in the West. So we're way ahead of schedule, and we have a lot of opportunities to improve. So I'm not down on the staff. We just have to continue to be more consistent. That's usually a problem in the first year of a new coaching staff, consistency, because everyone's learning everything. So that's just it. Just get back on track and do what the coaches are trying to put us in positions to do.
Right. Mike G, obviously a win Saturday would be huge. It gets you closer to that. I guess the goal now would be for Auburn to go 9-3, which means they win the rest of their football games. Mississippi State, the second toughest of 3 games remaining. I'm not concerned about South Carolina on the road. I know they had a good game against Florida. I'm just not buying it. I think Auburn can win in Columbia, and then obviously the Iron Bowl. What do you want to see from Auburn specifically on Saturday where you can be like, okay, this team can go 9-3 when it's all said and done?
Well, beside touchdowns,
sure.
This is okay. So this is going to sound like the canned kind of coaching response, but it really does boil down to consistency, right? And execution. Now, I ask Harsin every week, hey, man, what happened? And he says, we got to execute. And sometimes I hate that answer. But after watching the film last night, it really did come down to execution. I thought that the game plan provided opportunities against a really, really tough defense. And now we're going to have to go out and defensively, I hope they carry over a lot of that momentum they built for the last 6 quarters as well. So we've been in a 6-quarter drought offensively, but we're in a 6-quarter spurt right now on defense where they're just not allowing touchdowns. So if we can keep that going, we may need it because this offense goes in, we have stretches of good and stretches of bad. And right now we're currently in a bad stretch. Now, Mississippi State's defense is not Texas A&M's defense, but we sometimes are our own worst enemy. offensively, and we need our defense to continue to keep us in games until we figure it out. Listen, Auburn is not the only team like that. Believe it or not, I've seen Georgia start slow multiple times this year, and their defense just shuts people out until they can figure it out. And then they finally get going, and people forget that they didn't do anything for 2 straight quarters offensively. So that's the same energy we need from our defense right now. It's going to have to be a team win from here on out, because this team is still playing for a lot. Now, I know it's far-fetched, and 9-3 is a great season, but the SEC West is still not off. That's not an implausible scenario where Ole Miss somehow wins on Saturday and we win out. That's not completely implausible. That puts us in the SEC championship game. So, but I don't want to see Auburn backdoor their way into it playing crappy football. I want to see us do it playing good football, so that when we get in that SEC championship game, we can actually have some hope that maybe we can give Georgia a game.
Yeah, I don't think that's a scenario as far as, Auburn backdooring themselves in playing crappy football, just because you've got to beat Alabama and you're not going to beat them playing crappy football. So I think Auburn could definitely turn it up. And I mean, you mentioned Mississippi State's defense is not A&M's defense. Well, Auburn won't have to play a team with A&M's defense unless they go to Atlanta somehow, and they find a way to win the West. But the schedule, to me, it gets significantly easier in what they've done over the past few weeks. And I know that's crazy to say because Alabama's, one of the last 3 games, but from a matchup standpoint, I think Auburn's defense can slow down virtually anyone in college football. And I think as long as the offense can kind of get somewhat of a cadence going and somewhat of a rhythm happening over the course of the game, they're going to be able to figure things out. It's when the defensive front is so dominant and Bo Nix just kind of gets the jitters and they can't work their way out of it. I don't think that's going to happen at any point for the rest of the season, just because that's not really how those teams are made up, and that's not how those teams are finding success.
Yeah, I don't think that's a crazy statement to say from a matchup standpoint.
Right.
We match up well with the remaining teams on our schedule. So bend but don't break defense has done okay for us so far. If they can continue to keep opponents from putting points on the board, then we do actually have an opportunity to do really well down the stretch here. So they've just got to stay focused. The defense has been a bright spot, I think, to start the season. A lot of people were really down on the amount of yards that we were giving up, and they've slowly kind of built on what Mason has been trying to do. Now, he was quoted as saying he was not going to change what he was trying to do. He was just going to demand better execution from the players. Yep. They've continued to do that, and it has produced results. So we just got to figure out how to get the same thing going offensively. And this is a lot of talent. This is still a talented football team. In close games down the stretch here where everybody's playing for something, it may just come down to the 1 or 2 plays that we make that the other team does not. Last week, Texas A&M made a few more plays offensively than we did, and they came out with the win because that game was 6-3 going into the fourth quarter, right? And this week, it could look a lot differently. This could be another thing where we need at least 30, 35 points to win, depending on how our defense plays. So if we can limit them, I don't see us having the same offensive slump, but I'm not completely sold on that either. I got to see them get out of it.
Yeah, if Auburn is in a situation where they have to score 30 points at any game for the rest of the season, with the exception of South Carolina, I'm not confident that they'll be able to do that. I just don't think that's who this team is right now, given the talent and the personnel and all of that. But I think they can. I think if they can make it a slugfest, any of these last 3 games, I think they're going to win, because I think this is a really mentally tough team for the most part. I think there's some holes in that, if you go position by position, but I think as a whole, this is a pretty mentally tough team, and they're okay with it being a close game when it's all said and done. But guys, sorry, I got to cut this short. What all's going on these days at the War Rapport?
Listen, I already mentioned we got Watch the Film. That's for our insiders. You need to become an insider. There's a lot of perks. We're giving away tickets to games. We just gave away some tickets to this upcoming Mississippi State game to one of our insiders. So there's perks beyond just paying $5.99 and getting a sticker when you comment on our videos, but you actually have some amazing perks that we have. We have the game day experience where we do a pregame, a halftime show, and a postgame. And of course, as always, we have our Wednesday night war room and weekend tailgates where we're just hanging out with one of the best communities in all of YouTube with the War Rapport family, just talking football and having a good time.
Awesome, guys. Awesome. Appreciate your time. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to our friends at the War Rapport. Real quick, we'll be joined by Chandler Wooten to wrap up today's show in just a moment. But want to tell you about our friends at betonline.ag. BetOnline is the best place to bet on all of your sports action. We've been talking about BetOnline for a long time because we love partnering with them because it's so easy to go on there and look at the lines and say, you know what, I really feel good about Auburn minus 5.5 against Mississippi State on Saturday. BetOnline's the best at it. So go to betonline.ag, use promo code LOCKEDON. You'll get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Today's show also brought to you by McDonald's, proudly serving communities since 1965. McDonald's has always been more about just eating great tasting food and affordable food. It's about the people that you spend it with. I talk about it before on a road trip or after going to ball games as a kid, but McDonald's is where a lot of memories are made. And so we're proud to partner with them throughout the Locked On Podcast Network, but actually went there for breakfast this morning on the way back from work. I got done with my morning show, and my wife took the day off, and I brought her, we got some McGriddles and their hash browns and their iced coffee. It was all delicious. So go by McDonald's today and get some of that for yourself. McDonald's, a big thank you for always being there. I'm loving it. You're listening to Locked On Auburn, and joining us now, Auburn linebacker Chandler Wooten. Chandler, I imagine that was a tough trip out there. Defense played really well, but obviously it doesn't matter if you can't come back with the win, but just kind of from your perspective, how'd you see that game going?
Yeah, no, it was a hard-fought game, a game that, we knew it was going to be a tough battle, going on the road in a hostile environment like that. And, obviously you wanted to come out with a win and play better. But, I think, we can use it as a lesson to continue to move forward and just learn from it and grow from it. It could be beneficial for us in the long run.
How has it been as far as, just the attitude in the locker room and different personalities going on? What's the general response been to Saturday's game?
We understand, we still have, a lot of ball to play.
Yeah.
Everybody in the locker room, we just understand we got to stay together. After a loss, emotions run high. And so, a lot of guys, of course, are disappointed, as you should be, because, the goal is to win. And when you expect to win, it's tough to, endure a game like that. And so, I think just as leaders, we got to make sure everybody stays together. Just keeps the main thing, continue to try to, win some more football games. And, we still have a lot of stuff in front of us to play for. So, that's just the main thing right now.
The defense has played really, really well. They played well on Saturday. They played well against Ole Miss. And dating back for the last really month of the season, they've, you guys have been absolutely killing it. You play a team this Saturday that does something different offensively than anyone else in the SEC. How do you kind of change gears and prepare for this air raid?
Yeah, no, it's different, like you said, man. A team that, is going to come out and throw the ball all over the field. They got a lot of playmakers with a good quarterback and play caller as well. But it's not, anything we haven't really seen before. LSU kind of came out and did the same thing versus us, really run the ball too much and so on. We kind of got a good idea, of what we want to do and how we want to accomplish things. And so, just it's about preparation. Like I said every week, it's just going to be about how we practice this week. We got to come out with a lot of focus and understand that, our practice performance equals our game reality. So the way you practice throughout the week is going to be how you go out and play on Saturday. There's really no way around it. So I think we have to really lock in this week, correct the things that we did wrong in the game, make sure we don't make the same mistakes twice.
Mississippi State has beaten some teams this year that a lot of people did not expect them to do. They were ranked a week ago. As we record this, the CFP rankings are not out yet, but you assume that loss will knock them out of there. But they've had a pretty good season, and I think a lot of people kind of expected them to be towards the bottom of the conference. That's not really the case. What stands out about them when you're studying for them this week on film and all that good stuff?
Yeah, this is a really good football team, man.
Yeah.
we're in the SEC West, so I mean, it's a bloodbath over here, and so a lot of teams, play each other, and of course, it's just difficult to win week to week. But you cut on the film, you see a lot of good players, man, especially on the offense and defense side of the ball. So they play extremely hard. You can tell they play together and they're well coached, and so they present certain problems that we really haven't seen before. And so it's just a very good football team we're going to play. So I think when you understand that, it allows you, focus and lock in, and, just understand the task at hand. And so, we're going to have a great week of practice.
Chandler, is there a guy on this defense that has really impressed you with how much they've improved over the course of the season? And I'm sure that's a long list, but if you had to pick one or two guys that come to mind when you're asked that question, who would it be?
Man, that's kind of tough because I feel like we're all kind of trying to constantly improve. That's a goal each and every day. But yeah. I really think Ladarius Tennyson came out and played really well this past weekend. He's a guy who didn't really start off the season playing a lot, but you just see him come to work every day, and it just paid off this past weekend. And so I think when you have guys like that, who are able to stay in the fight throughout the season, contribute big time on special teams. And then you have guys out there like veterans like Roger who, man is projected first round pick and he still comes to work every day. Like, he's going to go undrafted. And so, we just have a lot of great examples on this side of the ball, guys who, just come to work every day, understanding the main goal. And that's just to get better. And so, when you're around that, it just becomes contagious and it just becomes a culture. So I think we have a lot of that on this team.
Yeah. Ladarius had an outstanding game. I think Pro Football Focus, the analytics had him as the highest score of all the defenders on Saturday. And he had a few hits behind the line of scrimmage that were electric. I'm sure that got all of you guys fired up on the sidelines as well as, guys playing behind him. So that was cool. But with a guy like Ladarius, is he being rotated in practice all season, or was it just kind of a game week thing because some guys that were typically ahead of him in the depth chart were out, and so he played more or participated more in practice throughout the week, or is it some of both?
Yeah, no, we all practice, all day every week, and that's one thing these coaches really preach, and even if you're not a starter, you have to prepare yourself that way. And so I think he's done a good job of understanding, like, even if I'm not the starter, even if I don't necessarily get a lot of snaps this week, I got to stay ready because you never know when the opportunity is going to come. And you don't want to, get the opportunity and not be prepared and be ready. So I think he just did a tremendous job, just, continue to work out hard, continue to practice hard, continue to show up on special teams. And, he just reaped benefits on this weekend.
What stands out to you about a guy like Derek Hall? I mean, his last two games have been really, really strong. And he seems to be getting more and more explosive off the line of scrimmage. What comes to mind when you talk about a guy like Derek Hall?
Yeah, he's just one of those guys who, when you look out there on the field and it's like you look at him and you're like, okay, I'm good. I know I'm good over here because, I got Derek over here with me. So it's just a guy, you have a lot of trust in, a guy who's going to set the edge, get to the quarterback, wreak havoc in the backfield. And so you just, every time you see him out there, he's going to do his job. He's going to do it to the best of his ability. And so, just to have a guy like that with that kind of speed, that kind of size, and just the way he plays the game, he's really a big key for our defense.
Chandler, how close is this team now at this point of the season? It seems like you guys like each other a ton. It seems like you guys do a good job, as far as celebrating together. And then, of course, when things don't go the right way, it seems like you guys are still all unified across a pretty tight locker room. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, I would definitely say that's accurate. Just kind of culture we want to have. Just especially with this new staff, just understanding that, we are the foundation for what's to come, for Auburn football in the future. So as a team, we just want to set the standard and set that foundation for, teams to come in the future. So, just understanding, that even if things don't go our way, we're a brotherhood. We have to have each other's back because, everything on the outside, the external noise, it'll try to tear you down, but we can't let that happen within the locker room. And so, we just have to stick together, through the good times and the bad. It's easy for everyone, be up, when we're throwing water in the locker room after a win, but, it's about how you respond after a loss as well. And so, we just got to stick together, like I said, and, continue to just move forward and get better each and every day. And just understand, we're playing for each other first and foremost. And so I think when you understand that, it just becomes easy. We didn't do all the summer workouts, spring training and winter workouts together, all the decks, running all the stadiums and everything we've been through together, coaching change and, guys, leaving the team and some guys coming back. So, everything just happened the way it's supposed to. And so, I think it's all just brought us closer together. Just the outside noise, like I said, trying to tear some of our teammates down. So it's up to us to pick them up and encourage them and give them that confidence, and let them know we believe in them. So I think, a lot of that, has just contributed to us, becoming closer as a team. And then, we just know we got to fight for each other because that's all we got at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Chandler, a lot of fans roll their eyes when they see that Auburn is slated for an early kickoff. Obviously, this Saturday against Mississippi State, early kick. Fans don't really like that because they got to get up so early. What's the player perspective on something like this, where you guys have an 11 o'clock Central Time kick?
Yeah, I mean, as a player, you really have to approach it just like every other week. Whether it's 11 a.m. or 7 p.m. You got to be ready to go. So it's a small adjustment from what we did last week as far as the night before and the morning of. Obviously you got to get up really early.
Sure. What time are you getting up for an 11 o'clock?
I think 11 o'clock games you have to get up around 6 or something like that. And so I think you just have to have yourself prepared and ready to play, man. It's a quicker turnaround, so you got to wake up already kind of in game mode. So it's just little stuff like that you got to be ready for, and just understand that it's a really good team coming into our place. Playing at 11 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to have a good crowd, which I know we will. And just be ready to go out there and execute because this is a good team coming in our house. So we go in there sleepwalking, we can, and we'll get beat. And so I think if we just understand that, we'll come out and be ready to play.
I've talked to some players in the past that enjoyed the earlier kicks because once the game is done, you're able to watch either some of the other games throughout the conference that night. And also it's easier for you to go out with friends and family and kind of celebrate if you want. Would you say that's been true with you?
Yeah, no, I would agree. Personally, I'd rather, I like the 2:30 games, the 6 o'clock games. It's a little bit better atmosphere, but
gotcha.
The 11 o'clock games do give you a chance, have the rest of the day to spend with your family. And obviously now with my little boy, I kind of enjoy those a little more now. So, it doesn't really bother me too much. Only thing that really matters at the end of the day, just being ready to go out there and play some good ball. And so that's just the main goal. You
guys celebrated a birthday this weekend, right?
Yeah, we just his birthday was actually yesterday. So he just turned one. We had a small party for him here on Sunday. So it was a good weekend. Yeah.
When mine turned one a few months ago, I was like, I want to give her everything, but I don't really know what to give her. So did you run into that at all? Or did you kind of know exactly what you were going to do?
No, I knew kind of, what kind of toys I wanted to get them and stuff. But, it's crazy because, everybody else around you, your family and friends, they get them clothes and they get them diapers and everything else that you could probably think of. And so it does get kind of difficult to figure out, what to get them. But I got them a couple things that nobody got them. So it ended up being good.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Well, hey, thank you for your time as always. I know you're extremely busy. It means a ton. And best of luck with this Mississippi State team on Saturday.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
That does it for today's show. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. A lot of stuff going on today's show. A very busy show. Sometimes you guys like that. Sometimes we don't say anything, which I guess is a good thing. But yeah. Hopefully lining up a fun guest for you guys tomorrow on the Thursday show. And of course, Friday, Berg Friday, as Justin Ferguson joins us every Friday. Follow me on Twitter at Zac Blackerby, the show on Twitter at Locked On Auburn, and on Instagram at Auburn Podcast. We'll be back tomorrow right here on Locked On Auburn.